In this video, 3 business owners brought me their sales team problems live on a coaching call: a dental implant practice, a landscape design and build company, and a founder making her very first cold calls. All 3 problems were different, and in this video, I work all 3 of them live. We build a consultation script so it builds vision before it digs into pain, including a 1 to 10 temperature check question that gets the prospect to sell themselves right before you drop the price. And then I show them what to do the moment after you say the price, which is the hardest thing in sales. Nothing. We get into the show rate numbers and KPIs that tell you whether your funnel is actually broken or whether you're solving a problem that you don't have, and the 2 changes that stop high ticket prospects from disappearing on you: booking the next meeting from inside the meeting you're currently in. And then we overview a video sales letter that does follow up for you and warms up the prospects between your next call. Now, if any of those sound familiar, this one's for you. So let's get into it. Well, welcome. So as we're getting everybody kind of joining, kind of the way we're running is pretty chill, pretty. If you have a question, just raise your hand and we'll try and go in like order. And then we can gem on anything: sales team, sales system, outbound, inbound, script, call reviews. Just anything having to do with your revenue engine. Cool.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Neil, you and Drew were here first, so if you guys want to kick us off,
Yeah,
let's do it.
I'll share my screen and show you the script that I've been working on here. So after the last call, you kind of put a lot in my head about like the flow and when to ask what.
Mm-hmm.
So a couple of the high level changes. So the overall goal is what brought you in, kind of what's the hardest part right now. So kind of the low point. Then I went where you want to go. So I can see the gap. Like, okay, you're here, you want to go here. Now I know what the gap is. Then I kind of elaborate. I let them talk a little bit, see what kind of the hardest point is. I'll elaborate on that. I talk about function first, just like, are you struggling eating, et cetera, et cetera. And then for cosmetics, this is the big change. So I have my team now take a picture of their smile before the consult, and I want to blow it up on my iPad, and I kind of turn it to the patient and I say, it's a little bit uncomfortable for people generally, but I make it a safe space. Tell me what you don't love and where you want to go, kind of thing. So that kind of like initiates the pain cycle for them. And like, oh, I did it yesterday and she's like, oh my God, I don't even want to see that, And I found that it just allows them to see the before, because a lot of people haven't really seen it that close before, right? Their smile. So once I do that, I kind of ask them these basic questions, and then I go into the health aspect, because a lot of people don't know there's a correlation between, infections of the mouth that can cause heart problems and potentially kill you over time, right? So we talk about that. And then I kind of wrap up with like, okay, how is this affecting your day-to-day? Like at work, your social life, etc. What's keeping you? This is what you told me, like what's stopping you from doing this? And typically it's finances. That's what my consult said yesterday. I'll say on a scale of 1 to 10, this is the first check. Like, how important is this for you to fix? And they'll get the 1 to 10. And then why is that number? What is it? Why that number and not lower? So I kind of like have them kind of sell themselves on why they want. If nothing changes a year from now, what does life look like? So then I take notes about this. I recap, say everything back to them and pass attempts. Like, what have you tried before finding me? Then I kind of walk through my x-ray. I show them the proof, before and after pictures, some smile reveal videos. I chunk up to their problems. So we kind of talked this a little bit last time. So now that I've told them what the actual procedure entails, I will be like, okay, so I'll be very specific on what they said. And then I'll say, does this solution like help, helps you fix this problem basically, right?
Yep, it's your future pacing to their end goal.
Exactly. Yeah. And then now they've seen their before smile, I have a smile software that can kind of show them what their after could look like. So I show them that side by side. I'm like, this is where we want, kind of thing. And then given everything we talked about, do you feel like this is a fix for you? Before we talk about the investment, where are you right now? Let's go 1 to 10. You told me to do this too, to kind of handle any objections before a price. And then if they're less than 8, what's keeping this from being a 10? The 1 to 10 close. And then once I get that, it's usually a 10 at this point. And I'll have them I'll walk through the investment. I'll ask for permission, like you said. For you, upper, lower, both, your investment is X amount. Then I'll jump right into, I'm not sure. I want your take on this. Like, I know Hermosi's always like, drop price and shut up for like 12 seconds and you'll close more sales. I feel like it's really big sticker shock for people. So I will say price and I'll say most of my patients, some patients pay upfront. Some patients will pay a little bit down and finance the rest like a month-to-month car payment. And some patients just finance the whole thing. Like, which one of these options makes sense for you? Let them decide, which one of those options work. And if they say finance, I will finance them on the spot. That's kind of the flow that I'm running. I started this 3 days ago, so it's like really new. But tell me your overall thoughts on this.
Yeah, like overall, I think it feels pretty solid. Like obviously we have to see,
How it works.
like what the market feedback, how it works and whatnot. One thing earlier that I saw like at the beginning is at the very top, you kind of get into overall vision and goal. So I would just like, a lot of this is like pain, challenge, cost of inaction. So what I find in my experience is like, if I don't expand the vision up and get like a lot of emotion and like desire behind the vision, then it can feel, the overall sales process can feel like just like not great. And like, we have to have this emotional arc. So that's the only thing that as you're going through it, I'm like, oh, it seems like we go into goals and then we're very quickly like going into like, pain and that. So I would just say like, be wary on that piece. Like, if they don't give you a really strong vision and desire, then you probably want to expand that up a little bit and get them to open up on it so that it's not just all like, negative.
So where would you do this? Like in this stage?
Yeah, right there.
So what kind of like, what would you ask it generally, like more vision, like what they want for their life kind of thing after this is done?
Well, what are the types of answers that you'll get here when you say like, what brought you in today?
Like, I hate my smile. It's generally like cosmetic related, or I can't eat.
Yeah.
So you want me to pull more teeth there?
So here you said if this worked out perfectly, would you want?
What would you want to be able to like do?
To do or yeah. So I think that's really important, right? So you want to get their mindset to like, if we solve this problem, what are you doing? What are you feeling? What is life like? And like, what's the why behind the why for all of those things? So it's just like, I would just say like, oh, tell me more, like expand on that a little bit to get them into like this dreamy state before you take them through the pain cycle, because like the pain cycle can be really hard. So again, you have to see how, like, you have to kind of read their, like, how they're feeling on the call or, during the presentation.
Yeah. So sell the
that was the one thing that yeah. So like, that's the one thing is like, it felt like we kind of touched upon it and then we just go into like a lot of pain.
Makes perfect sense. Okay. Other than that, what do you think?
Other than that, it's solid. Like really good. I'm curious to see after. So usually whenever I'm testing a new script, I'm trying to validate it with like 25 to like on a high end 50, but like 25, at least 25 calls. And I want to try to run 25 calls or 25, like, sales processes, demo. What do you guys call your consultations? Yeah. So 25 consultations, try and do it the same every time. So you can really get a feel of, all right, is this script, is this process, is it working before you start tweaking? Cause it's going to be really easy to take, small data, 1, 2, 3 calls. Oh, it didn't work. Or like, and like try to start making tweaks at that point. But I'd say just try to be really disciplined and go through at least 25 consultations and just document each one before you start tweaking and before you make a determination. Like, is this good? Is this not good?
So what I'll do, I will record all these calls. I'll put them in AI, and then maybe the next call I can kind of show you that data.
But yeah, for sure. That'd be cool.
Cool, man.
And then you had a question on the bottom of pricing, right?
Oh yeah, exactly.
Okay, so two things you pointed out, Neil, is there's a lot of sticker shock, and then should I just shut up, right? So if you're getting a lot of sticker shock, one thing that, and this is kind of for everybody that we can think about is, like what sort of price anchoring are we doing before the call, early on in the call? And so like we kind of want to stack like all those things up so that they already have a number in their mind. And then when we drop the price, our number's lower than that. So it doesn't feel like such sticker shock.
Okay.
So that's one thing that we can be thinking about. Like, where can we start price anchoring throughout your sales process?
So how would you go about that in the script? Like, and how would you do it?
So there's a couple ways you can do it. Like the easiest way to do it is at the end of the call is like if you have a more like the highest premium package, you can share that. Like,
I do.
a lot of our customers will do this 100K thing, but I don't think that's the best thing for you, right? I actually think you should do this. And then you just pitch like what you're already getting paid.
Okay. I typically do that. Like we have a really high end thing, but not everybody's a candidate for it. So I'll start there.
Okay, cool.
Like I'll have like the options and then I'll start with the middle because that's what in ideal world, 90% of people will do that anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. So I like that. So I'll continue doing that.
Cool.
And then once I say that, so once I give the high end option and then the middle tier option, then do you shut up or do you like, but most of our patients will pay once a month just to let them know that it's not like upfront, or do you just shut up?
I usually shut up. I wait for them to talk. And that's like the hardest thing to do. But just like, because it has to sink in. Like they have to do this mental consideration of like, do I want this? Can I afford it? Can I not? And like, if you give them a second to think, they're gonna respond. Like you almost want to, you don't want to be the first one to talk after you drop the price. That's like usually my philosophy.
Oh. Okay.
And it's the hardest thing to do, like as a closer, as a sales rep, after you drop price, to just be quiet. It's so hard.
Yeah, 100%. Okay. All right. I'll work on doing that. Sometimes I'll just jump right in because like I don't want to.
Yeah.
But I'll work on that for sure. Okay, cool. I think that's everything. Follow up or makes sense. Cool, man. I don't want to take too much time here. I know other people waiting.
Yeah, no worries. And if something else comes up, we'll circle around. We'll try and get through everybody. And if there's more time, we can stay on.
Cool, man. Appreciate it, Chris. I'll be ready in a couple of weeks to show you the feedback for the calls.
All right, let's see it. So at least, 25 to 50 consultation is kind of like the validation
You got it.
phase for like a new script. Cool.
Sounds good.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Of course. Hey, everyone that just jumped in. If I haven't met you, my name is Chris. Welcome. Basically what we're doing here is we are anything related to sales systems, sales process, sales scripts, call reviews, anything related to sales. I'm here to support you guys. So I think who was next? Who has a question? I think Keisha, you came right in after Neil and Drew.
Yeah. I don't have a question just yet. I have a sales background. Not to say I'm the ultimate salesperson. I did 14 years, so I'm pretty familiar. You know what? Where I do struggle with is calling. I've always struggled with the calls. In person, I'm very confident I can close. I'm currently looking for corporate clients. I've been doing one-on-one with just average people in any industry. And I'm looking for corporate clients currently. So yesterday was my first day just going out, knocking on doors, going try to speak to people. Today I'm going to be making calls. And I've never cold called. I was in automotive sales. So you asked me for a car, so I knew what to talk about. Nobody asked me for my service. So it feels challenging. I haven't done it yet to tell you what exactly my issues would be. But yeah, that's where I'm at.
All right. And what's your offer? Like, what do you currently?
Yeah, I'm a joy coach. So I facilitate experiences to alleviate burnout, depression, grief, etc., so that employees in this case, employees can find more joy in and outside of the workplace.
Okay. And in terms of who specifically, so are you looking for decision makers inside of companies?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Do you know what type of companies?
I'm starting locally with we're warehouse galore over here, which does have a lot of burnout. I'm looking for companies like warehouses, Chick-fil-A's, Publix's, automotive dealerships, obviously, because I'm familiar with them. I did visit a medical office. I think those are great places to go. There are hospitals over here. And some of these places I can't go visit because security or whatever it is. So I have to call or email. So I think the calls today are pretty much going to be locating the decision maker. And then from there, setting appointments, etc.
Yeah, got it. Yeah, okay. Yeah, my experience and anyone who has experience cold calling, my experience is like it's all about the list and just having the list prepared and just like hitting it.
Yeah, I've got the Excel spreadsheet with all the first contact notes, all the things. So yeah, I hit the list yesterday. I'm going to hit it today and we'll see what that cold calling is like.
I hear you. Yeah, let us know. We feel your pain. I think we've all been there. We've had to consider it or do it. So yeah,
Yeah,
keep us posted.
will do. Thank you.
Of course. And welcome. All right. Who has a question related to sales team, sales systems?
Chris,
I
I
have
did want
one.
to add. Oh, sorry.
You go ahead.
I
If
was
I'm
just saying,
yeah.
I was just saying the note of the talking after you ask for their business. In the automotive industry, the phrase is whoever talks first loses. So I do appreciate that you were saying that you got to be quiet. Absolutely.
There you go, Neil. She confirmed it for you.
Yeah, I'll definitely be doing it more effectively.
Can you hear me okay, Chris?
Yes. Hey, Phil.
How you doing?
Doing well.
Awesome.
How's everything in your world?
Going well. So I have Logan here. The other guys are basically away. So I wanted to ask a question both Logan and I think a lot about. Described, I don't know how much you remember last week or 2 weeks ago, kind of the complication of the levels of our sales process. So one kind of key question to that Armand has hit on a few times, which I think is good, is every step that we add, there's obviously lose a percentage of people. I don't know, over time as we have the capacity, it would be very interesting to study like what percent is lost from the transition from the first call that comes from Logan to the second. This because it's central.
You said
Yeah. So the key question we're thinking about is like, hey, if we could get things ideally to reduce as many steps as possible to reduce that friction of turnover between the first call to the second call to then the in-person, to then after the in-person, we do a design, to then we finally present everything. So it's like a 4-step process.
Mhm.
So I think like I'm always thinking like, how do we simplify? I don't know as you think about that, if it would ever make sense, like as Logan continues to learn, ideally, would it be the type of thing where you combine those first 2 calls into one? The reason we haven't done that, I think you actually asked about this last call, is because there's a lot of nuances that are super specific to planting or hardscape that would be harder and take a lot more time for Logan to learn. But it is like a target that we could create and aim for if it's like, hey, that overall approach seems much more ideal than breaking into 2 calls before an in-person visit. I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, remind me again. So you guys are doing like landscape design and maintenance, right?
Yep.
Okay. And then price point, average contract value.
Yeah. And so I guess my question is more geared towards the design and install side of it. Cause on the maintenance, Logan will take the call and we'll go straight to an in-person. So that's pretty simple. On the
Okay.
design and install, that's where he lines up another initial consultation phone call with one of the designers before the in-person. So that's the extra step that is helpful but could add some friction. So on the design build, the average size would be $20,000.
20K. Okay. And then leads are coming from Meta or paid or
Meta, SEO, referrals. Yep.
okay. And then what is in the ad or, like most of them, like what are they opting in for?
We've done some specific offers like, hey, if you sign up, if you click the link below in the next 7 days, we'll give you a free 3D design.
Got it. Okay.
So we've done some things like that. We've actually seen that these
CTA, get a quote, it looks like. Okay. So the first call, and the reason I ask is I'm trying to, if we're looking at compressing, like we obviously have to fulfill on the reason that people requested information anyways, right? So they, the CTA, the call to action is to get a quote. So that first call is responding to that, right? And then on the first call, I'm assuming you guys are doing a little bit of discovery and qualifying, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And then what happens on this second call? And forgive me if you already went into this last week or a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. So Logan hits on some of the, I would say Logan doesn't necessarily cover the full spectrum of budget authority need timing because there's certain, like for instance, budget will be hard for him without more context, and a much longer phone call will be hard for him to get into. He can get into like need, timing, basically those two, like scope of work, and then if they have a timing thing in mind. Sometimes you'll hit, Logan, you can add to what I'm saying to make it more accurate. Sometimes they'll hit on rough budget, but it's very high level. What would you add to that, Logan?
Yeah, I'd say in terms of a patio project, I can usually take a measurement and give an idea just based on some rough numbers. But I always preface that with kind of the point of the next call would be to get it further in the details of what the project's all going to entail, give some ideas to even expand that project into something, take their idea and make it into reality in a way. And I was going to go one more thing on there.
Yeah, so we basically like Logan's high level, and then we just go deeper into, in simple terms, I would just say BAMFAM. So we can actually dive more into, because sometimes in between those calls, they'll send over pictures, they'll send over some videos, they might send over some design ideas. And so then me or one of the other designers is looking at that. And then by the time we hop on that call, we're diving deeper into each of those things, trying to get more into pain more deeply, I would say. So that first call's, I don't know what your average phone call length, Logan, is, but let's
5 to 12 minutes.
Yeah. Okay. 5 to 12 minutes. And then
That's
like
average.
20 to 30 minutes.
Okay.
And then
are you guys tracking? Sorry, go ahead, Phil.
Yeah. And then we're even sometimes like, we'll go over the actual design call. So we'll go over, hey, project scope, like based on what you're describing, it sounds like it might be like in this direction of cost. Is that something you're comfortable with? And then we'll also talk about design costs. We'll explain that there's design before the installation. So we work on the design first. And by the time we show up in person, they're like, oh, I know I need a design. I know that a design is $500 to $1,500. So by the time we leave that in person, they're typically like handing us a check for, sometimes it even happens after that call. So that would be like a lot for Logan, I feel like, to like jump in all that. But that's around aging. I don't know if there's another way.
So I guess is the challenge that we're trying to solve for is that there's drop off at every stage of these calls.
Yep.
Okay. So then naturally my head is going like, are we tracking show rates, and are we tracking, how many setting like first calls, set calls are made, and how many of those are then pushed to a second call, and what's the show rate on the second call? Are we tracking those numbers?
No, we haven't paid attention, but we do have those numbers. So we could definitely look at what percentage is lost between those two.
Okay, yeah. So that's probably the first place I'd look is like, all right, let's look at the data, because maybe we're solving a problem that's not really a problem, right? And maybe it's a problem that we think is a problem, but if you're especially Logan, if you're setting for yourself, like if you're doing outbound to the leads you take that call and you set for yourself, you should have like an 80 to 85% show rate. That's like kind of like if you're self-setting, because you're setting it for yourself, you already have the rapport built with them. Most people, they're less likely to no-show someone that they already know. So if like, that's the first number that I'd look at is like, all right, is our first call to second call show rate at least 80%? If it's under 80%, then there's probably a little bit of work that we can do there. Does that make sense, guys?
Yeah. So, but Logan's setting for one of us, so he's not self-setting. Would you change
Okay.
that percentage at all?
I would say, yeah, it's probably a little bit lower. You'll have to see like what your guys' average numbers are, but I'd say you want to be shooting for a minimum 65% show rate on that second call. But like obviously, like I have teams that are doing between 75 to 85% show rate, and we have a setter closer model, so like two different people. So that's like the first number I'd look at, and then if assuming that's good, the next number that we'd look at is like, well, out of those 80% that show up to the second call, how many of them are getting an offer, some sort of offer? How many of them are moving forward? And that's going to give us an indication of set quality, right? Is Logan putting the right people, right timing onto the calendar? And like Logan, you should definitely like, you want to have awareness of that, because I'm assuming that you're paid on commission, right? Of those things, if those sets are closing.
I'm not commission structured, no.
Okay, sorry, but I mean, regardless, you want to make sure that you put it.
Logan gets a commission for new leads that are converted to customers. So there is
Yes.
it's not, I don't know if you call that commission, but there is that incentive for sure to
Oh, okay, yeah. So it's like a bonus.
convert those people.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so then for sure you want to know, like, are my sets, are the appointments that I'm setting, are they getting offers? Are they moving forward in the process, and ultimately are they closing? So you want to track all of those numbers as well. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I feel like on a gut level, we're probably around that 75% mark. So it's like, it still sucks when it's like, because it might have taken Logan like 10 reach outs to get him on the first call. And then it's like, sweet, you talk to him. And then he puts him on the schedule. And then even if it's like 1 out of 4 is lost between those calls, for me, that's like a gut punch. I'm like, dang, that sucks. But, but that is good to know that those general numbers are definitely helpful of like, all right, if we're dropping below that 75, this is definitely something to like dig into. And we should start maybe just paying attention to what that number actually is.
Yeah, for sure. And then if someone doesn't no-show, it's like I'll have my setting team reset them. So like every day they're looking at no-shows and cancellations, and they're like calling them again, because that's already qualified. Someone who's basically qualified, right? And then depending, like if like once you know the data, we can look at it, and if it's under, if the show rate's under, then we can look at what can we do to improve show rate. And it's like really simple end of call process that we can do that'll improve your show rate. So the next area.
Yeah. Okay. So you would look at doing that before saying like, hey, let's try to combine both of those calls. Like, it's not like a red flag, the fact that we have 2 calls before in person based on that process.
I mean, if Logan was doing both calls, then I'd say we can consider combining it.
Yeah.
But if it's 2 separate people, you kind of, you know.
Okay. Cool. That's helpful.
But regardless, I think like I'm very data driven, very data oriented. Like I want to look at the data first, and if the conversion rates are fine across, then it's like maybe this isn't the problem that we should be solving. Maybe it's something deeper down in the funnel, you know?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah,
Cool.
that's interesting.
Do you guys have a team tracking sheet? Are you guys using any sort of tracking sheet or some sort of dashboard to monitor like dials, sets, all of that?
Yeah, I mean, probably the terminology we would use is different, but yeah, we have multiple, like each salesperson has their own sheet of like their pipeline, and then Logan and Garrett have their own sheet for, I don't know how you guys label it, Logan. I forget the vocabulary we use, but essentially what you just said, Chris.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Because the next thing I would say is if you don't have a sheet that's combining all of the teams, all of the team, all of the reps, so that you can look at the numbers as an organization, but then also as individual reps and like how they
Yeah.
combine up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Our current tracker has new lead, follow up, assessment scheduled, assessment completed, proposal, and then that's each labeled with the salesperson's initials. And then I have it up until they have an assessment, and then it's initialed by the salesperson. So it's handed off at that point and labeled throughout our overall pipelines of all of our different avenues of gathering leads.
Cool. Okay. Yeah. So that's like the first thing. A lot of sales teams are not tracking. I'm like, we're just flying blind. So it's awesome that you guys are tracking.
Yeah. I don't know. We don't necessarily have one massive cohesive tracker that like shows everything at one place. Once they get to assessment scheduled and they're in, I mean, we can see it from Meta, but we don't have like everything. I mean, there's still definitely some different floating pieces that we can work at over time to get in one place, basically. But
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Because how big is the team now?
so there's me, Jordan, Danny, Alan, and Phil, 4.5 salespeople.
Okay. And then how many? You call them SDRs? Like, Logan? What's your title? SDR or?
Lead development specialist. And then Garrett
Okay.
also is our operations manager. So he and I are the kind of office non-sales guys. And then we have the 4.5 sales guys.
Okay. Cool. And are some of the sales guys also doing outbound and like setting, or is it just?
Just Logan.
Oh, just Logan. Okay.
Yep.
So Logan, you're filling 4.5 sales guys. That's impressive.
Gets
That's
after
good. Yeah. Yeah. Because I mean, most of the time it's like a 2-to-1. So 2, SDRs, appointment setters to 1 closer, or like I have a team where we're 1-to-1, and that's like really good. Like, but it obviously depends on the industry and whatnot.
Yeah.
Like a lot of my call process is kind of deciphering who's best skilled and ready to handle this particular job with these particular components. So
Yeah.
that's a big part of my call process too, is trying to figure out who's going to be able to best serve this person. So we're not having to hand off as much from that second call to even somebody else. So trying to make sure that goes to the next person and it stays with that person is a big part of my thought process too in that call.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're doing a little matchmaking, personality matching.
Yes, very much so.
Cool. Awesome. All right. What else you guys got?
That was good. Thanks, Chris. I have more. I always have more questions, but I want to give somebody else a chance to. So,
All right. We'll circle back around.
yep.
Thanks, guys. All right. Who's next?
If no one wants to go, I can ask a quick question.
Yeah, let's do. I don't think yet. We got Keisha. She's doing outbound today, so we're gonna follow up on results in a couple of weeks. Andrea, feel free to come off mute, on video if you want, but if not, we'll do another round. All right, Neil, let's do it.
So, Chris, we talked about this a while back as far as dialing systems, and Dialer.io is something that, as you build your sales team, you recommend.
Yeah.
And I actually have been thinking about, now that I'm at that point where I know I need to fix that problem, I'm going to set up that appointment and do a demo. But in general, does Dialer, like when you have a dialing system like that, does it integrate with like Send Blue, and where you can send Blue text messages as well? Do you know that? Or do you guys do that?
Yeah,
It does.
it can. Yeah, 100% it can. So it fully integrates with Go High Level. So you can use all of your standard Go High Level. You guys are on Go High Level, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, you can use all of your standard automations and everything. They have, inside of Dialer, they have an automated texting service and platform. So you could do it there, but like with one of my clients that I have them on Dialer, they had everything set up in Go High Level. So I just wanted to have the easiest low risk integration.
Yeah.
So we used all of our already existing automations, texting. We don't use SendBlue. We use Project Blue.
Project Blue. Okay.
But I heard SendBlue is great as well. So yeah, to answer your question, 100% again.
Okay. And then it takes all the thinking out of the equation for them, right? So new lead comes, they just get called automatically, right?
Yeah, so it's funny. The founder of Dialer.io, he's a funny guy. He's a phenomenal salesperson. He's built multiple 8-figure companies, but because he's been inside of sales for so long, he could see all of the gaps and where everybody is cutting corners, especially on an outbound setting team. And he was just like, he made it his mission to like, I'm going to make it impossible for these guys to do anything but be efficient at outbound dialing. I'm going to take away all of the thinking. I'm going to take away all of the processes, and it's just going to focus on speed to lead and volume. And like, that's what it does.
Got it. Because I spent the last like 2 months building out my nurture sequences for every stage of my high level. And now I'm like, okay, that's built. After the consult, if they need to think about it, which a lot of people do, there's like a 30-day nurture sequence there. So now that that's done, I know that high level, one of the things I'm experiencing is like my setters are telling me like they think that it's going to spam a lot of the time. Like they're seeing spam on the lead's phone. In Dialer, obviously, like it changes a number, right? So you don't see that. So I think I'm just like losing conversion basically just because people just are seeing my calls as spam.
Yep, 100%.
All right, so
definitely.
it's kind of go ahead.
Dialer will mitigate that. You'll never get rid of it, and Dialer will also help you register the phone numbers. And there's like some things that you can do to mitigate it, but the main thing is like only making about 30 to 40. Like they'll if you chat with Frankie, he'll tell you 30 to 40 outbound dials per day on a number, because that's like basically standard phone usage. Once you go above that volume, you're automatically gonna get flagged by the carriers, because they're like, nobody's making 100 calls a day or 200 calls a day on a single phone number unless they're using some sort of automated system to do it, and then they flag it as spam. So Dialer will like you'll have multiple phone numbers, and each phone number will automatically only allow you to make up to like 40 dials or something, and it'll switch and it'll cool that number down. And it's like over a period of time, you start to have regular usage on your numbers, so that they're not flagged as spam. If they are, they'll pull them out of the rotation, cool them down, remove the carriers will remove it, and then they'll put them back in. So it does all of that for you.
Because my phone situation right now is like, it's a problem. It's not the constraint, so I'm ignoring it, but it's like a problem where I have an in-office brick and mortar phone. Then I have my setters calling on high level. I have 2 setters, but I have everything routed back to, if they don't pick up during the day, then if the lead calls the number back, it routes back to the office, which that's the simplest solution I can figure out right now, because I don't want it, because if I have setters, then it just became kind of confusing on how to wire everything. I guess if I use a dialer, they can help me with that. Where if a setter calls, lead doesn't pick up, but they call that number back, it'll go to the setter, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Because like I know it's like kind of a stupid system I'm running, and it's like bothering me, but onboarding time for stuff like that, that's my other worry. Does it take a while to get like all this situated?
We the last client I brought on with them, we onboarded in like a week.
Wasn't too bad.
So yeah, it wasn't bad. But I'd say it depends on their availability. Like we were at a time crunch, and like I really pushed them to get on. They were able to do it, but I think now like they're just getting better and better. So
cool, man.
I'm not selling Dialer here, guys. I'm like,
use it though.
We use it, and it's been super efficient. And like I have setters that are pumping out roughly 175, 200, 225 dials a day. And when you're doing that amount of volume, the only way you can do that amount of volume is if you have a really, really efficient system. And that's what this is.
And you notice a big conversion change from blue text versus green text? Like send blue kind of thing?
I haven't measured it. I haven't measured. Where I do see it is like, I have my closers use blue text, because a lot of our automations and reminders, all of that stuff goes green. And so when a sales rep is reaching out in that same thread with all that automation, people just assume that's automated. So a lot of times for follow-up, I'll tell closers, like, you want to hit different channels, right? So send them a voice note, but send it from here, send them a blue text, right? Just like as a pattern interrupt, so they know this is personalized. Or I'll even tell them, if you're texting somebody in this same thread that has automated reminders, text as if you were texting a friend, right? Hey, quick question, enter. I was thinking about you, enter. We have this thing and it's perfect for you. And I wanted to send you, you want some information on it. Would you like some, like send, so that it's like multiple lines of text, because no automation would send like that. That's only like human texting behavior.
Yeah. No, that makes perfect sense. Okay, cool. So then I'll get that organized then to fix that problem. Thanks, man.
Yeah. Yeah, no worries.
Chris, I had a question for you, and anybody can cut me off. How much have you seen a sales process change, or like the sales rhythm between the business and the customer change when you go from like a $20,000 job to 50 plus, especially as you start to approach 100,000? Because we've had 3 huge opportunities in the past 3 months that are like $100,000 jobs. And something about our normal process for like a 20 to 30, this doesn't surprise, like I'm asking a little bit of a rhetorical question, because like I know there's a different rhythm to it. I just haven't figured out like the dance of it. So like normally we do that first call, we do the second call, we'd have an in-person, we'd set up a design. Typically once they say yes to a design, like 75% plus of those people end up saying yes to the work. What I've noticed is with those bigger jobs, they'll say yes to a design, and then I might not even get the in-person setup. Which that's happened twice, which is wild to me that they paid a $1,500 design, and then like I haven't even been able to, they haven't like completely ghosted me, but it's been like 2, 3, some of them 4 weeks, and I haven't even been able to set up that final meeting to present this design and like go over the proposal. So I don't know if it's like a timing thing, because those bigger jobs take longer to design. They take like 2 weeks, times instead of like 3 days, 4 days. So I don't know if it's a timing thing. I don't know if it's that people that are willing to invest that type of budget are just in a lot less of a rush. I don't know if it's because we're in the summer. I'm not sure.
Yeah. So your process typically is one call, second call, in person, then design, then you present, right?
Yes.
Okay. So they skip the in person and you go straight to design.
No,
So
sorry.
they'll
First 2 calls in person, then from
then
the
design.
you start the design.
Got it. Okay. Are you guys booking the presentation at the time of taking payment for the design?
No, and that's definitely a mistake.
Yeah, that'd be the first thing, is like just lock that next BAMFAM, right? Book a meeting from a meeting. So
Yes.
lock in the presentation and just
Yeah.
you should know who the decision makers are. If it's a bigger deal, there's probably multiple decision makers. So it's like I would spend extra time on that in-person visit to get the next meeting on the calendar booked and make sure that multiple decision makers that need to be involved are on that meeting.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
That alone
solves a couple of those issues. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so painful. I'm like, why did I not do BAMFAM? Like, I don't know why, but yeah, that alone would be huge. And then I don't know. I mean, does that timeline sound long for, I mean, to me, it's pretty standard in the construction industry for a $7,500,000 job to take 2 weeks, 2, 3 weeks to design.
Yeah,
So,
that's fine.
I
mean,
honestly,
obviously the faster, like if you can crunch your design time, the faster you can go from, in-person meeting to presenting the core offer, probably the better. So, one, I would say BAMFAM first, like book the next presentation. And then if you can crunch that time, so it's faster, right? And then those would be the 2 levers that I'd be thinking about right now.
yeah. And then like the $20,000-$30,000 jobs, a lot of times we'll actually just be on a Google Meet or Zoom, and we'll present that. We'll share the screen, and and that's worked really well. For those bigger jobs, have you seen any difference in terms of like quality that people feel, or like conversion rate for then just going and meeting them in person for that? Because it feels odd to me actually to present like $100,000 job over a computer.
Yeah.
I don't know. Have you
It's hard.
like data on that?
It's hard to say. So like I used to sell 100K coaching packages in person,
Yeah.
and it's a very like relationship sell because you're working with somebody for this amount of time at that price point. And so my gut, and again, it's going to depend on your data, right? But I've also sold very high ticket Zoom,
Zoom,
so yeah, it might be worth split testing, but
Yeah.
I'm always like, okay, is that the number one constraint right now? Because
Right.
if we just focused on BAMFAM to get
Yeah.
more of those presentations, then we,
That's also yeah.
yeah,
Sure. Okay.
cool. All right. What else you got? Anybody
BAMFAM
else?
has closed things too. Like I'll just piggyback. I was not doing BAMFAM either. And it's like such an obvious thing to do. But you don't do it, you just lose your prospect. They're just like, yeah. And then it's just dumb,
Yeah. Super dumb.
I've been doing that last 3 calls. Like, I'm putting it on my calendar in front of them, like, okay,
Yeah.
o'clock next Thursday, I'll call you. I'll answer any more questions you have. We'll figure it out,
I don't know why. Like I know, like we use BAMFAM in general. Maybe it's the fact that like I'm meeting them, they're doing a design, and so something about that is like, oh, they're in this, like they're committed. So I didn't even.
For you, it's even better because you get to show them something.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You get to show them like, all right, this plan's going to be awesome. Like, just wait till you see what I'm going to design for you. And like, you're talking to me like, awesome. I'm excited to see like what you're going to work up for me. I'll show up to that, even if it's in a week, but
Keisha, BAMFAM is book a meeting from a meeting. So it's just this concept that like anytime we have somebody on any type of sales call, we're always booking the next sales call, the next opportunity, follow up, presentations, offer, set to close, whatever it is. Always like, we're always getting the next step locked in. And then one thing I'd add to that for anyone that is booking meetings, if you don't have an end of call process that you're doing on every single call, is I would definitely recommend doing it. So this is going to help with show rates. And so, Logan, for example, if you're making that first call and you're booking the second call, you could be doing this. And so if you are, amazing, but make sure like send the invite on the call, make sure that they accept the invite on the call, and literally wait. I force my reps to wait until they confirm that they received the invite, that they scroll down, they open it up, they hit yes, and they hit accept. And I do that for 2 reasons. One, because it's the prospect confirming to themselves that they're going to be there and they're putting in their calendar. And then the other reason is like now a lot of those invitations will go to spam. And if they don't hit accept, they're not going to get the reminder notifications. They're not going to see anything. So we can mitigate some of that as well. So I always coach my reps and I verify that they are sending the invite, getting accepted on the call. And then I ask an open-ended question, such as, would there be any reason that you wouldn't be able to make this time next Tuesday? Get a verbal confirmation. Most of the time they'll say like, yeah, absolutely. Or like, unless I get called in to work. Okay, cool. If for whatever reason, if something happens, can you do me a huge favor? Can you let me know with at least 24 hours notice? Verbal confirmation again. Yes. Okay, cool. And then the fourth thing I do is we have another VSL, and I'll say, okay, cool. I'm going to send you a VSL and it's inside of that text message that you just received. Can you do me a huge favor? Can you watch it? Because it's going to make sure that you're even more prepared for the next call. And so I'll do those 4 things, and I have my reps do those 4 things in between every call. And the same process for closers or sales reps if they're booking follow-ups, right? It's like same process. Make sure that you're getting the invitation on the calendar, get them to confirm it, and, make sure that you lock it in, tie it down. So that's like my...
That last thing you said, Chris, it was something about a video?
Yeah, VSL, a video sales letter. So, do you guys have a VSL?
No.
Okay, so this can help with your show rates, it can help with your close rates, it can help with like everything. And so basically in between each call, this is Alex Ramosi 101. In between each call, you want to have a different video sales letter, a different video that's basically telling them what to expect from the call, kind of going through like what it is that you guys offer. And then basically the end of it is all the different objections, like disguised as FAQs. And you're just like educating, warming them up. And usually you want to like 5 to 7 minutes. I have like 15-minute VSLs, but it's just another thing that somebody can do in between calls, that they're consuming information and they're being nurtured and warmed up.
Chris, let me ask you this. Oh God.
No, you go ahead, Neil.
I'll ask a quick question. So if I have a VSL before, right? So I have that. They show. For me, if I'm doing a follow-up, like a week, just to check in, because I don't really have anything to present them, I'm just following up. Do you still do a VSL there? Like, what would you? That's one of my challenges. Like, what do I talk about besides like, do you want to move forward? I don't want to be like pushy about it, but I also want to answer any questions, or you know what I'm saying? Sometimes I don't know like how to have that conversation on the follow-up. If that makes sense.
Yeah, what I would do is I would take all of the objections that you got on the first call and then make a VSL answering all of those and be like, you know, just to recap what we spoke about, here's kind of, the different options. Here's typically how it works. Here's, happy customers that went through this process. So it's an opportunity for you to get some social proof. And then a lot of people that we presented this to, they had this question, this question, this question, and this question. So let me answer those for you. And then you're just objection handling all of those objections. And then you're giving it to them between your initial consult and your follow-up call.
That's genius. So you basically like, you make them a loom basically?
It could be a loom. It could be,
or
you
anything.
can put it on the landing page. You can put it anywhere. I use, like for my clients, I'll use a different landing page and with the VSL, and then I'll have like a lot of testimonials, case studies.
What do you use for that? Like what platform?
You can use Go High Level.
Oh, just use Go High Level and
yeah. It's like a funnel. It'd be a funnel basically.
And you just text them that and then they go through it.
Yeah. Here's a link.
That's probably a very easy conversion difference.
Yeah, it makes a big difference.
Okay, good. So what were we saying? So Go High Level, make a landing page, send it to them before the call you have the follow-up. And then you ask them on that call, like, did you get a chance to look at everything I sent you? And then you just blah, blah, blah. That's basically it.
Yeah. Or in between the call or on the call. And what I do is, if you have a separate follow-up calendar, so if you have your main consultation calendar and then you have a separate calendar that you use just for follow-up calls, so you can kind of distinguish between the two.
Yeah.
In the confirmation for the follow-up call, like most people have standard automations where they get an email and they get a text message. I just drop the link to the VSL in there and I'd say, confirm this email, watch this, review this, like 101 video on, whatever the thing is, and then see you at this time. And so that's already there. So when I book the follow-up call, I tell them like, oh, you see that text message? Yeah. Okay, cool. If you can do me a favor before our next call, can you just review the link in that video? There's like a ton of great information. You can see people just like you and the transformation they had and all the questions they had in their experience. Yeah, can you watch that before we meet next Wednesday? Yeah, okay, cool, sweet. And send it.
And for me, because I don't have a pre-made VSL for this follow-up, I would just send them obviously the link to confirm their follow-up appointment. You would testimonial landing page basically.
Yeah, just like a wall of love, just all the happy people, transformations.
And then after I make the video after the consult, then I'll send them that on top, right?
Yeah, or put that literally top of page and then all the testimonials below.
So it can be done. All I have to really do is just schedule the meeting at that point. the consult.
Yeah.
And anything else I can do in a few days after.
Yeah.
All right, that's a game changer. I just never considered to do that. Because that's
Yeah.
like
These are like
that's
little
really-
tweaks that you can make as you're scaling, right? That are going to help just like a little bit better.
And if I have a nurture sequence that, like I told you, 30-day nurture sequence, that's just giving them testimonial. Like basically it's like just pure proof of testimonials for 30 days straight in the thinking column. Would you just make something custom for them, essentially? But maybe I don't need a landing page for that. I could just make something custom for them.
Yeah.
'Cause I don't want to
hand select a couple that you're like, this person reminds me of you. Take a look at this. Can you let me know what your thoughts are?
just make the handle the objections on that video. Cool, man.
Yeah.
That's huge. I'll definitely try to implement something like that.
Hey, by the way, my name is Chris Sanchez and I build predictable, elite, and fully systemized sales teams. I've helped clients generate over $54 million in revenue and ramped countless sales reps using the approach that I call the sales team operating system. What you just watched was a real sales team OS session that I pulled from a live client. If you want to see exactly how I run, manage, and scale elite 8-figure sales teams, don't click away just yet. In this next video right here, there's another sales team OS breakdown where I go deeper into the building, coaching, managing elite reps. Go ahead and click it and enjoy. Cheers.